Hey guys, this is Steve from Kopf Percussion, and I welcome you to part 4 of my video series, The Cajon Building Process. In my previous video, I showed you the processes that I use to create the panels and the glue up of the shell. Today, we will finish the shell up and we will start working on the faceplates. This shell glued up great. I have nice tight joints here. There's a few things left for me to do. One of those is I need to get these fingers sanded down flush with the drum. And I'm also going to round over these corners now. But more importantly, this surface here is where the faceplates are going to attach. And I need this to be perfectly flat. So that is the next process. I'm going to use an inverted drum sander to flatten this out. Now that we have a shell that is both square and flat, I'm going to round over the corners at the router table, and then it'll be time to move on to making the faceplates. Okay, now that the milling of the shell is complete, I'm going to sand this real quick just to clean it up a little bit. Now that I have a shell completed, we can move on to making our faceplates. There are several steps that I take to build faceplates. To give you a general idea of how I do it, I will use some walnut panels that I already have set aside for another drum. But basically how I make a faceplate is I take a very thin veneer that I hand pick, and I'm going to sandwich a slightly thicker veneer that I make here in-house called a core between another thin veneer. This will all be glued together. I'll put it in my vacuum press, and when it comes out, it'll be a very thin piece of plywood, but very, very strong because it's glued together with the grain patterns opposite of each other. Now I have a wide variety of veneers that I can use, and I hand-pick them from different dealers all over the United States. Here's an example of some curly walnut. Here's some birch, some black walnut, some Karelian birch, burl, some crazy stuff there. But what I choose to use with this drum is quilted cedar. The outside of the panel will be the quilted cedar. For the core, which will be slightly thicker than that veneer, I'm going to have to mill it out of the same cherry that we made our shell with. The first thing that I need to do is to cut the cherry to the correct length. The next thing that I need to do is to resaw on the bandsaw. Now that I have my 3 flitches, before I glue them together, I'm going to take them over to my drum sander and get them all to the same thickness. Since I'm going to be gluing these flitches up end to end with a butt joint, I'm going to take them over to my joiner again and make sure that these butt joints are perfect. Now it's time to glue up the core. We'll let that dry overnight, and then in the morning we will match that up with the quilted cedar.